Hi, I'm Johnny from ultimatepapermache.com, and I just got done finishing the painting of my camel mask. This is a brand new pattern, and if you'd like to see the pattern itself and how all the pieces go together, I do have a video about that at ultimatepapermache.com/camel mask. And as you can see, I went really fast on painting him because I used the brown paper that comes in Amazon.com boxes, and I decided to go ahead and use that color. I really like the color, and it's really close to actual camel. So I decided to just paint his eyes with just a little bit of definition on the front of his head. Now I want to mention, this is kind of a special little trick that I didn't use this time, but I want to let you know that you could. After I put the pattern together, and you'll see me doing that in that other video, I used some crumpled foil just to make the upper lip just a little bit rounder. I wasn't careful enough when I put the paper mache over that foil, and so it didn't come out nice and smooth like I wanted it to. And I was in a real rush to get this whole project done, so I didn't go back over and fix it, but there's a really easy way that I could have. What I could have done is just take some pre-mixed drywall joint compound. Any brand would make it wouldn't make any difference at all, and just use that to smooth it off, let it dry, go back over it with a very, very lightly damp sponge or even a fine sandpaper. Maybe since the rest of the paper mache is already on there, you might actually want to use this sandpaper for that. Just smooth it off really nice, and then cover that again with a couple of strips of the paper, and it would have come out really nice and smooth. I didn't do that, but I figured this is going to be used in a play. People are going to be sitting far enough away, maybe they won't notice. So enough of that. Let me show you how I actually went ahead and painted this guy. Like I said, it was really fast. I made a couple of changes as I went along because I was using one photograph for the eye, and then I decided, but that wasn't actually representative of what camels really look like. The photograph was gorgeous, but it just didn't look quite right on my camel, so I kept changing it. It only took a few minutes to change it, so let me show you how I did it. But just before we get started, sorry for the interruption, but my future self is going to make an apology. When you watch this video, you're going to notice that it's shaky. Some of the parts are just a little bit fuzzy, and that's because this guy is so tall, I couldn't use my normal sculpting table, which is nice and solid. This is just a really cheap Walmart foldable table that I'm working on, and I didn't notice it was shaking as I was working on it, but the camera did. But it also made it hard for the camera to focus. Some of them, you're going to see in some of the parts that the camera is focusing on my pig instead of the camel. I do have another really tall mask coming up. I've already got it designed, and I'm hopefully be able to put those videos together in a couple of weeks, so I have to figure out how to make that not happen. Sorry for the interruption. Now let's go ahead and see how I painted that eye. I started out by taking it downstairs and spraying it very lightly with some, I think it's Rust-Oleum clear enamel, and I just wanted to make sure that if I got clumsy and dripped some paint somewhere on the naked brown paper, that I'd be able to wipe it up if I was fast enough. And then I painted the colored part of the eye with white paint. I wanted to make sure that the eyes are going to be nice and bright. As soon as that was dry, I started painting some actual color on it. And I'm using both burnt sienna and brown sienna from a paint company that I've never used before. It's really soft. It kind of just squeezes out of the bottle, and it didn't cost very much. I do really like it, but it isn't at all transparent. So I added some water to it, and it was really close to the camel eye in the photo that I was looking at, but it just, once I was looking at it on my mask, I just didn't think it looked quite right. So I went back online and looked at a whole lot more photos of camel eyes, and all of them were so dark that you could barely see the black pupils. So I let it dry, and I put on another layer by adding just some burnt umber and a tiny bit of black to my mixture of siennas. And it's still got some water in it, so it's still transparent. I decided that I liked it a whole lot better. I am going to go back over it with a couple more layers. So this isn't the final colors, but it's looking better than it was before, I think. A little bit more camel-like. Then I used the exactly same mix, again with water, but more water this time, and a little bit more black. And I put that in a spot below his eyes and around his nose and just right around his lips, because I'm looking at a camel photo that has almost no color on it anywhere except for the black around the eyes. Just a little bit of definition around the nose. But I did have to go back with some pure black right around the eyes and paint on his pupils, of course, too. I do think that the camels have horizontal pupils like goats. It's hard to tell in most of those photographs because, like I said, the color of the eye is so dark that it's really hard to see the pupils, but I think they're horizontal. And then I played around with the eyelashes a little. I used a Sharpie pen to make some stripes on him. And then I went back over the eye color again. I put on, this time, just a wash of burnt umber. And I think that really helped. It brought all the color together. It smoothed off all the parts that hadn't gone on just as smoothly as I wanted to. And I really think it looks a lot better. I put on some really thin lines of light gray on the eyelashes and on that bone that goes above the eyes. It would actually be kind of fun to use really long fake eyelashes instead of the cardboard eyelash piece, but I didn't do it on this guy. I did on the alpaca sculpture, and it looks really nice. So that's an option. You just leave off the piece for the eyelash if you want to do that. And then the last thing I did for painting it was to give it a coat of fingernail polish, and it looks really nice. It just made a huge difference. And then I wanted just a little bit of fur. Most camels don't have a whole lot, at least the Arabian camels that I could see. Some of the other camels do, but I'm thinking this guy's going to end up probably in Christmas plays occasionally, and so I wanted something that looked like an Arabian camel. And I found some yarn that was close. It was brown. It's not exactly the same color, but it was close. And I wanted a whole bunch of pieces that are all the same length, so I just wound them around an envelope and cut them into pieces. And then I wanted it to be easy to add them to the neck with some hot glue. I thought it'd be easier if I tied a knot in the middle of every single one of those pieces of yarn, which was kind of a pain in the rear, to be honest, but it actually did help because it lets the yarn actually stick up. I put them on with hot glue and just kind of messed around a bit so that the yarn would not just lay flat on his head, it was actually sticking up. When the glue cooled, I went back over the fur with a dog brush and I fluffed it up. I think maybe I got a little carried away with that. Now he's all done and I get to try him on just to see how it's going to look. So he's all done. I'm going to quit now. I didn't put a whole lot of time into painting him. Most of the effort on this guy is actually cutting out all the pieces and putting them together. But I think it turned out kind of nice. I'm not so sure that I should have got out that brush. I don't know. I'm not sure I should have done that. And it would have been nice to have some yarn that was a little bit closer. I didn't realize until it was on there and all brushed out that it actually has a pinkish tone to it. I mean, standing back, if you're in an audience of a play, it's not going to make any difference. But if I did this again, I'd probably, instead of going through my stash and getting whatever's close enough, I probably would have either found something that was a little bit closer at the yarn store or used some twine. A lot of twine is actually exactly the same color as the brown paper if that's what you want to use. And obviously, you don't have to use the brown paper as the final color. You could just go ahead and paint it like a real camel. There's a lot of really good YouTube videos about how to paint a camel. And even though most of those, well, all of them are going to be painting camels on either paper or canvas, but you can still use all of their same ideas, the same colors and everything, and paint a three-dimensional one. When you do paint yours, make sure that you go out to the internet and find some really good photographs so that you'll see what you want to do with yours. You might have a completely different idea about what they're supposed to look like. You might want to put a whole lot of different colors on them. So make sure that you go out and find some models. Don't use mine as a model. Use some actual photographs and paint it the way you want yours to look. If you want to see how the pieces go together, I have another video out on my website. It's at ultimatepapermache.com/camel mask, and you can also purchase the pattern there if you would like to make a camel mask of your own. So I'll see you there, ultimatepapermache.com.